was hoping that Chika will pipe in. Yes, I was nodding because everything that Jadesola was saying is absolutely astute. I don't know that I have anything more to add to what she said. Apart from maybe if I will cite just my personal experience growing up in Nigeria, and all of my education was in Nigeria, and I remember distinctly, that I did not learn much in school. I didn't learn anything in university. That was a zero. Studied law, and I quickly figured out that they didn't care about you actually understanding what was being taught. They didn't care about you applying your mind to the actual principles and trying to figure things out, how they work in the real world. They just wanted you to read a 20 to 40-year-old syllabus, buy the handouts, that might be interesting, but it looked different from the marking scheme. And you will, that was a quick way to get a zero. And I learned this very, very quickly when I first got into university in my first year. So my second year, I adapted. And, I just lost interest in the course altogether because I figured out that it was very easy to pass if you did what they wanted. But then I decided that I was going to do what I wanted, which was I started to do other things. I started to shoot videos, started to go into graphic design, and basically wound up on an entirely different path than what I ostensibly went to school to learn. But that failure starts much earlier, like Jadesola was saying, and these skills that are not taught when we grow up. I remember distinctly also just learning. I suspect 90% of my moral compass, everything that I know that shaped the way I view the world and how I approach it, came from watching educational programs on television on NTA 2 Channel 5 between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. And it was actually funny because we would get to school and the teacher would ask questions and I would be responding based on the documentaries, the educational programs I'd watched at home on TV. And it's like, this is not in the syllabus. They didn't teach you this. How do you know this stuff? But I was fortunate that, I had access to television growing up. And it was like 2 hours of television every day, so I'm not talking Cartoon Network. I'm not talking about, Nat Geo Wild. I'm not talking about Nickelodeon. I'm talking about basic NTA 2 Channel 5. And, that had a profound impact on me. I distinctly remember the first time I went to travel to the US, ripe old age of 27, I was going to cross the road. And I remember that you're not supposed to cross the road without looking at the sign because that's jaywalking. And this was a lesson I learned on Sesame Street when I was maybe 5 years old. But that's not a thing you do here. The zebra crossings don't mean anything. So it's all these small things. But the fact that there are no functioning science labs in primary school, and what we put in there is what we get out. So we expecting a different result is really, really just obviously it's funny.
Thanks for that, Bankole. And I see that we've just been joined by Tosi Fani Rodada. Hi, welcome. So I did a quick introduction to all the panelists initially, so we'll do a quick introduction to you as well. So Tosi Fani Rodada leads the Lagos Innovates team at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Here, she's responsible for designing and implementing programs that provide an enabling environment for tech startups to thrive in Lagos State. Welcome, Tosi.
Thank you so much, Jadis Moyosola, and thank you for having me. Apologies for coming late. I thought the session was going to be at 9 o'clock, but it got changed, and then I got sent the wrong link. But pleasure to be here, and thank you to my co-panelists.
Yeah. Welcome. Okay, so moving on. From digital marketing to digital multimedia to software engineering to UI UX design and even artificial intelligence, right? What are some of the ways that our youth who are currently in these roles, what are some of the ways that they can monetize their skills? And I hate to call on you again, Bankole, but I know that you have a lot of that, you have a strong background in this sphere, and you'll be able to shed some light, and then we can throw it open to all the panelists.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself an expert on virtual work. Considering at this point we're all experts on virtual work. We're 6-month-old experts, considering everything that's been going on. But maybe to cite an example, something very, very pre-COVID was the fact that we began to see an appetite for developers, for developer talent coming out of Nigeria from across the world, primarily in Europe and San Francisco. And there were companies that started out, their basic premise was that we have a saturated space in our local home countries, and the talent war has become so competitive that it's very, very expensive to hire developers.